baseball team anyway.
Yeah, right.
That's great.
I'll have to get a little bit older, that's all.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Oh, Christopher Stewart arrived. There he is.
Yeah. Shabbat
Good
Shalom.
Shabbos.
Olga.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom. I
Shalom.
saw another
Shabbat
new
Shalom.
face too somewhere. There he is, James Miller. Welcome to Friday Night Zoomers. We socialize before services. Welcome. You're muted, so that's okay.
Welcome.
And you don't know how to unmute, that's okay. Sign language, just wave.
The smile says it all.
Of course, absolutely. Absolutely. So who didn't we see? or
Olga.
talk to? Olga arrived, yes. There she is,
Olga.
right. But she's, now she's gonna, there she is,
Olga.
waving.
Hi. Olga,
Hi,
hi.
Olga. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Joan.
Shabbat Shalom.
Joan Field arrived. We have to say hello.
Hi, Joan.
Hello.
And
Joan.
look who was
Hello.
with her. The other half, very good. Nice to see you.
Oh, yeah, there's
Oh,
Jerry.
they didn't cut us
Hi,
off. That's a good
Jerry.
thing.
Hi, Joan.
She's muted. She's
I
gonna figure
don't
out
know
it.
why
There
they're
she
so
is.
late.
Hello.
I don't know why they're so late starting tonight, but it is just the traffic in the area of synagogue has been just horrendous.
They're
Fortunately, they're working.
Well, it's the Pride Parade this weekend too, so that makes things crazy.
Yeah, but that's not even. I think it's NASCAR.
And
Yes.
NASCAR. I mean, they close a
Yes.
lot of streets.
Oh,
But I am
that
working
this
on a letter
weekend?
to the editor because I think that's really just it's making.
Hello,
I mean,
Andy.
it's way west. I'm at 1600 West, and it's still
Nice to
messing.
see you, and I know Mitchell's there too. I see his hand.
You should move to Lake Forest. Everything is calm and peaceful out here. No NASCAR.
Yeah,
It's
I
true.
even
not
got
gonna
a,
happen. But thanks.
Oh, and there's Charlene. Nice
Hi,
to see
Charlene.
you, Charlene.
Hi, Charlene.
I wonder who's in
Northwestern-
charge tonight. We didn't get cut off. That's a good
sent
thing.
me an email telling me that I needed to allow more time to get to my appointment. Even
Yeah.
they were talking about the traffic being so bad.
Right.
They're
Because they
also working
closed
on the
streets.
red line there, which is making traffic miserable.
Right.
Oh,
Pride Parade is,
Yeah, that's this
That's-
weekend.
Yeah, but that's not until
Mhm.
Sunday.
Yeah, but they close the streets earlier.
That day. but
Close
not
the streets
day.
Sunday
Well,
morning. I was
whatever.
just looking
and
at
there
that.
may
It's
be
not
people
even
in
a
from
crowd.
out of town that are gonna,
Grand Prix for Monaco, same thing here in Chicago.
There's the other Mark and Amy.
What is it?
Nice to see you.
That's the July.
Yeah, we just need some clergy.
I,
Well, that's
Did they
okay. They
forget
didn't
us?
cut us off yet.
On a Tuesday.
So it must be someone new working there. Because normally we get cut off. At least 3
Unless they're
minutes
waiting for the
ago.
clergy to come.
And that's okay. Yeah, maybe, well, what else is new? Somebody's late.
Maybe they forgot us.
I doubt that.
um,
I doubt that is a
But we
matter
have each other. That's all that matters.
or something like that.
That's right. We're a minion.
Yeah, we can lead
For sure.
services.
All right, candle lighting, page 120.
Yeah, right. Get your books out.
I
Get your
play
jacket.
along now with
Wait, here it is.
Let's get the drum. That's Karen.
Yeah, exactly, Karen. That's the one thing I'm gonna go get right now.
Hi,
What?
Karen.
A drink?
You were there.
Oh, did we get, oh, no, we didn't get muted yet.
Up, here we go.
Go get a plug.
Have a great week, everyone.
You too, Brian.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
See you next
shalom.
week.
Shalom.
Laurie Bearish, keep smiling
Thanks.
or giggle, one or the other. What can
Feels
I-
good.
Of course, always. Oh, yes, we found something to fill our empty holes. Very good. Somebody did, tech support. Instead of our
Nancy go to
regular,
camp?
so somebody didn't show up today.
Huh?
Yeah, we get to look
Let
at
it
each
drink,
other
honey.
more. What?
Hooray for Gossip. That's all.
Amen.
More time?
Oh.
Shabbat Shalom. Wow. Sometimes we have change. We have things that are different. And tonight is one of those nights. I know that we miss some of our clergy. We miss Hannah and Ethan. We miss Cantor Katzman. We miss Min-Q. But we also have three extraordinary musicians with us. We have Anne, John, and Shkandia, who are here to help us lead services tonight. John and Shkandia are our Makom musicians, our musicians who often lead our 20s and 30s services. And so given that there's a lot of newness over here and some, experience over here, I hope that you will all join in wholehearted, full-throated, loud singing with us this Shabbat. I wanted to start off by asking, and it's a funny question to ask now, but I wanted to ask, when is a time recently that you felt enchanted by something? I say it's a funny question to ask now because actually I just felt really enchanted by that opening song. But there's a writer, Catherine May, who wrote a book called Enchantment, where she argues that as adults, and particularly as adults in the modern world, we tend to lose our ability to maintain our enchantment. That as kids, we see things like rocks, like the lake, like flowers or pets or friends, and we feel overwhelmed by the beauty of them. What she reminds us is that enchantment takes work. It takes paying attention. And what I'm thinking about is about how much of Shabbat is about towards bringing us back to that very state of enchantment. It's about taking time to sing, taking time to see people we love, taking time to put away distractions and to say, oh my gosh, the world can be an extraordinary place. So I hope that we'll join in some enchantment together this evening. And we begin Shabbat with the enchantment of light, with saying it's so incredible how beautiful light can be and how much light we can bring out into the world when we see it in each other. So I'm very honored to invite up Kevin Miner to help me light the Shabbat candles tonight. We are going to be on page 120. So we sing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. I hope you will all help me out. Oh, thank goodness, there's a cup up here. I hope you will all help me out in taking a moment for sweetness, taking a moment to welcome in the joy of Shabbat with our Kiddush, with our blessing over the wine. We are on page 123, and our tradition here is to rise. If you are comfortable, if you are able, you can rise physically in body, and if not, then we say you are rising in spirit. We're on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, Ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. And we all say l'chaim, l'chaim, to life. Please be seated. We are on page 138 for L'chadodi. And as I was driving here, I saw, and probably many of you saw, a lot of people streaming towards a concert at Wrigley Field. And I have to say I'm very jealous to be here. I'm very happy to be here. I was a little jealous of them because it just looked like they were having a lot of fun. They were wearing very summery clothing. A lot of them were in cowboy hats. And I actually do imagine that is what Tzvat was like in the 14th century when they got ready for Shabbat. And the tradition is that the rabbis and the people of Tzvat would dress in light summery clothing, and they would stream out of their houses and into the streets in order to celebrate Shabbat together. So may we all be inspired by the traffic around Wrigley Field. We turn to page 138 for L'chadodi, and we think that you will recognize this melody, so please sing with us. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem u'tiferet v'lit chila, L'chadodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'chadodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila, L'chadodi Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat Hitorari, hitorari, kiva orech kumiori, uri, uri, shir daberi. Kivod Adonai alayich nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat We invite everybody to rise in body and in spirit and to face our entrance for our 9th verse. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha uv'tzohola, toch emuneh am segula. Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. I hope everybody sings together. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. One more time. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat Please be seated. We are on page 142 for Sholom Alechem, a prayer where we imagine angels bringing us into Shabbat and saying, let this be a Shabbat of rest and let us be a Shabbat of peace. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, I warned our beautiful musicians that I might interrupt us a little bit as we sang in the spirit of Cantor Ben David, because I know that is something that she would do, and say, let's sing this, but let's sing it a little bit faster. Let's increase it so that we can enjoy the spirit of Shabbat together. So Shalom Alechem. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim
לכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי העליון. ממלך מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. הקדוש ברוך הוא.
I do feel that the angels of Shabbat are absolutely with us in this moment as we sing together. So I'm going to invite you to rise in body and in spirit, and we'll turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Turn to page 152 as we turn towards our Shema, our prayer of listening, and our prayer that reminds us that we are all together as one.
Shem Kevod Shem Kivon. Mahuto. Leolam Vaed. Shema.
Please be seated. We are turning to Ve'ahavta on page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'ham v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha Leman tiskeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. I got to attend a breakfast this morning that was a gala for the organization called Arise Chicago. And Arise Chicago is an interfaith group that supports workers around the city who are trying to organize for better working and wage and labor conditions. And the people who were honored this morning were the workers of Portillo's. They were people who have been serving food at Portillo's. The man who spoke has been working there for 33 years. And he said that, this is my life's work. I take respect and honor and pride in my work. And I'm going to also do the work of making sure that this is a fair and safe workplace. And for me, it was just such an important and humanizing reminder that there are people all around us who have these extraordinary stories and these extraordinary perspectives. And we won't achieve freedom, which is what our Mi Chamocha prayer is about. Our Mi Chamocha prayer is reminding us that our job is to pursue freedom, not just for us, but for the entire world. We won't achieve freedom until we hear the stories and the perspectives of people from all different walks of life, of all different places, of all different work, of all different experiences. And we'll hear that freedom, those stories, and we'll march towards freedom together. So we are on page 158 for Mi Chamocha, and we're doing a very special tune this evening. I don't know if we've done it recently, but it's by the composer Alana Arian.
La 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 la. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Ya la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Now I know what it is like to be Cantor Ben David and to have musicians shoot you looks of panic and confusion halfway through the song. Not that that happens to her very often, but if it ever happens, now I feel for her, and I feel for you guys too. So thank you. We rise in body and spirit, and we turn to our Amidah, our central prayer of the service. We are on page 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol V'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevi gula livnei v'neihem, leman shemo be'ahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, baruch atah Adonai magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayei hakol, atah rav lehoshia, morid hatal. Mechalkel chaim bechesed, mechayei hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim berofech olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'neman atah l'chayot hakol, baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yhalelucha selah, baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. We take a moment now for a quiet prayer and personal reflection. And if you're standing, when you're done, please be seated.
שלום במרומיו. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. באמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. באמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Every week, it's so easy to say, but this week especially, it feels like our world is in need of so much healing. I feel like I find myself saying that almost every week. And so if you're feeling that way this week, if you're feeling like this has been an especially tough week for you personally or for somebody you know or for the world, this is a moment where we just take a time to pray for strength and to pray for healing, which is not a magical cure, but is just the ability to feel a little bit better or a little less alone. So if there's somebody you're thinking of tonight whose name you'd like to share out loud, to just say, I'm thinking of you, please do so as I pass my hand around the room. Tonight, we honor those names with our Misha Berach. We are on page 371.
Bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach refuah shalema, the renewal of the body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Constant phone notifications, tweets, conversations, TikTok videos, callous jokes, apprehension, guilt, and sadness. I'm wondering if just saying all of those words, if people have a guess as to what I'm referring to. This was my experience, and for myself, and I think for some of us, as we watched the extremely upsetting story of the Ocean Gate submersible unfold this week. In the coming days, I'm sure that our screens will be filled with many op-eds and analyses, so much so that I am genuinely reluctant to add another voice to the cacophony. But I believe that it is in moments like these, moments filled with both sadness and complexity, that Jewish wisdom becomes the most essential, where the collective wisdom and advice of our ancestors can guide us from the past and shed light on our modern lives. Depending on how much time you spend online, you may have seen in the last week the occasional individual or influencer crack a joke or tweet a scathing comment making light of the deaths of the people on board. My impression is that people feel justified in making these jokes because they see the immense wealth of the passengers as inherently immoral, and therefore the humor is justified. When I see these jokes and comments, however, I am reminded of the story at the end of the Exodus, where the Israelites crossed the sea to escape slavery in Egypt. The Talmud tells us that angels witnessed this event. Angels witnessed the Israelites escaping from slavery to freedom, and that angels also witnessed the Egyptians who were chasing after them drowning in the sea. The story tells us that the angels were about to celebrate and burst into song because from their perspective, the Jewish people's enemies were dying. Instead, God stops the angels and admonishes them, saying, "How dare you sing for joy when my creatures are dying?" No matter how we feel about wealth disparity, I appreciate our tradition's clarity on this matter. We are all God's creatures. There is no justification for cruel and senseless humor. And yet, at the same time, while the humor around this tragedy feels inappropriate, the conversation around the disparity that this event brings up is essential. We all witnessed the reality that in the same week that an international rescue mission was searching for 5 people on the submersible, hundreds of refugees died when a boat sunk off the coast of Greece. The inequality is clear, and it is horrifying. I found, however, if I'm being honest with myself, that the inequality was not just a global phenomenon, it was kind of a personal problem. I personally was fully fascinated and upset about this story in a way that I am not about all events in the news. As we followed these events, some of us found ourselves asking, why are we so gripped by this particular story of the submersible when horrific tragedy happens every day? Why did our family and our friends talk breathlessly about the fate of those seeing the Titanic, but not about the fate of those in Greece? The inequality didn't just play out in front of us, but in many of our own minds and attentions. There are many extremely reasonable explanations as to why this tragedy got so much attention. The story contains so much, from fear to visceral horror, power, technology, the Titanic, a risky, coordinated international rescue mission. Our brains see the world through and are desperate for stories, and this was quite a story. Given that this story was undeniably gripping, I wonder then if instead of pouring shame and negativity onto either ourselves or others for being consumed by the suffering of those on that exploration, I wonder if we can just take a moment to pay attention. Can we use this moment to notice the ways without judgment, towards ourselves, in which we feel some people suffering more acutely than others. Instead of castigating ourselves and others, can we use that act of noticing to try and better direct our attention to those who need it? Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk is famous for having taught that there is nothing as whole as a broken heart. Our tradition teaches us that we actually do need broken hearts, not so that we wallow and lose ourselves in the suffering of the world, but so that we can face some of that suffering, pay attention to it, take it in, and use our own brokenness to create change. There is nothing as whole as a broken heart. Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt writes that it is a powerful paradox to think that we can find wholeness not despite our brokenness, but through it. Let's pay attention to the world's brokenness, to our own brokenness, and instead of making ourselves feel bad, let's use that brokenness to create change. Shabbat Shalom. We are going to say some announcements. And by we, I mean me, unless anybody else wants to join in or announce something. So there are a lot of really wonderful and joyful activities happening in the next week with and through Temple Sholom. The first is happening on Sunday. Actually, the first is happening tomorrow, but it's not on this sheet. So tomorrow evening, if you are in Makom, so if you're in your 20s and 30s, we are hosting a Havdalah and party at the Royal Palms Shuffleboard Club in Bucktown. And it is not too late to sign up. It's an amazing deal. If you've ever done shuffleboard, if you've never done shuffleboard, you are welcome. And if you've never done Havdalah on a rooftop, well then having an open bar and playing shuffleboard, you might want to come to this event. So I highly recommend it. That's tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Then on Sunday, we are going to be marching in the Chicago Pride Parade. So we are proud as a community to be joining Keshet, which is a national LGBTQ organization, and we'll be joining them and other local Jewish organizations as we march in the Chicago Pride Parade, and you are all invited. Please be there. Then on Monday evening, and this is all of our events are extraordinarily special and important, but this really is an extraordinarily special and important event. We are hosting a Havdalah for trans resiliency and a night of community learning. So in the last few months, as members of the trans community have fallen under attack from different laws being passed and hatred being continued around the country, members of our community said, we want to do something that brings people together and calls attention to this issue at Temple Sholom. So this is really an event for everybody in our community, for both people who are trans and for allies. And we're also hosting it with Mishkan and with Anshe Emet. And there will be storytelling, poetry, great food, learning, and more Havdalah to stand up against hate towards our transgender and non-binary siblings. And then finally, if that is not enough, you can join Lincoln Park Zoo's Adults Night Out Pride Party on Thursday, June 29th. So members of Or Hadash, our Temple Sholom LGBTQ group, will be joining for an exciting evening featuring drag queen bingo hosted by Veronica Pop, dancing with music by DJ All the Way, and animal chats, and complimentary, I think they mean like literal chats with animals, and complimentary face painting, pop-up bars, food, and beverage. So obviously this is an incredible week at Temple Sholom. Please come to every single one of these events. I miss having 3 other clergy up here with me to make a lot of jokes with, but this is what we're getting tonight. So please rise and turn in body and in spirit to page 586 for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'tet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Please be seated. We take a moment now for memory and for mourning, for remembering people who we've lost and who we are missing deeply, people who have shaped our lives in different ways, and who we bring a little piece of their presence into the room with us by saying their names out loud. So if there's somebody you're thinking of tonight whose name you'd like to share, please do so as I pass my hand around the room. We add to those names Alan Simons, Norma Adler, Leon Baer, Patrick Barrett, Alan Bayer, Robert Berger, Jane Dee Berkson, David Berkson, Josephine Drummer, Ida Plax-Ebner, Max Feldman, Susan Ghana, Mildred Giddens, Roberta Gilbert, Marvin Goldstein, Dr. Benjamin F. Gordon, Rabbi Morris Greenfield, Miriam Gutman, Anthony Henlon-Jones, Bessie Heyman, Marcia Julian, George H. Cux, Simon Levin, Marvin Levine, Ida Z. Lewis, Dr. Jack Marco, Leslie Matias, Max Novoselsky, Gina Rosen-Orient, Mary Pildes, Dale Pollock, Morris Rosenson, Elaine Samsky, Helen Schneider, Jean K. Scheinkop, Michael Smith, Annette Spielman, Shirley Steffen, John Werhane, and Gerald Zeidman. May their memories be for a blessing. We rise in body and in spirit and turn to our mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirateh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Please be seated. I want to say one more huge thank you so much to Anne, to John, to Shkendia. I forgot to share that I met John and Shkendia when we went on honeymoon Israel, which is a trip that takes couples to Israel, particularly interfaith couples. And it's been just such an honor getting to play music with you in Israel. in the temple basement, on the beach, and now in the main sanctuary. And Anne, thank you so much for stepping in. You brought such beautiful music and spirit to this evening. So what are we closing with? Will you tell us? Well, actually, I do know, but tell us about Adon Olam. You love this tune, right?
We do love this tune. We're going to do a special version of Adon Olam that one of our favorite Jewish writers arranged, Rick Recht. So this is Rick Recht's newest Adon Olam.
Please sing with us.
And you'll recognize the tune from our opening Nagun this evening.
It's on page 625.
Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra mihen nasa behefso kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo V'acharei kichlon hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yeh b'tifara. Yadidai.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for being here. Please join us in our social hall in Bettyport Hall for some Shabbat treats. And Shabbat Shalom. We hope you have a very relaxing, beautiful, and peaceful Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, what a lovely service.
Shabbat
Really
Shalom.
lovely.
It was lovely. She did a great job.
Really great job.
Yeah, it's
I think
nice.
she
Very
sings
nice
so,
service.
so nice.